Hey everybody, welcome to Wednesday. Wednesdays are rapidly becoming my favorite day of the week because it's Wellness Wednesdays and I get to talk about stuff that people find useful. It's interesting. Somebody gave me an interesting bit of feedback this week on Wellness Wednesdays about why the numbers might be lower. What they said was that not every topic applies to them, so they don't watch everyone, but the ones that do apply to them are super duper helpful. That's interesting. So the best way to support Wellness Wednesdays, if you do find them helpful, is through Patreon, because this is not a YouTube algorithm friendly format. So help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK. Now, today's video, how and when to walk away, was inspired by someone who watches these videos, but also who I talked to. I'm not going to mention anything, but I am very proud of her because she walked away from a crappy situation, even when people were telling her not to. And she learned this skill far earlier than I did. So I was very impressed. Growing up, it was always instilled in me that, you know, you stick to it. You don't let people down. You fight this, that, the next thing. What it took me far too long to learn is that if you're never prepared to walk away, people will walk all over you. And walking away is especially hard, proverbially walking away. But walking away is especially hard for people who feel picked on in their lives. It's especially hard for people overcoming among other things, traumatic events, because you constantly feel like you're falling down. You fall down, you get back up, you fall down, you get back up to it. It is a skill that takes practice to separate feelings of failure from walking away. Because a lot of people's social groups train you to see walking away as failure. It's not. It's the opposite. And I finally started realizing this when I was taking meetings with very, very rich people. And these guys, I could never understand why, you know, you could go to this meeting, it didn't work. This meeting didn't work. No. One, okay, they'd work on that for a while. You'd see them a few months later. They're doing something totally different. And they always just seemed to be, yeah, it's great and everything. And then I realized they don't care if anything works out. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, you know, I'm going to go home and roll around in my money, you know. It's real easy to walk away when you're independently wealthy, right? But what I then realized working in game dev, among other media, and writing about games, gaming websites, you never get anywhere if you're not prepared to walk away. Because you spend so many years in shitty circumstances, because you're not willing to walk. You're a prisoner. They've got you. They can do anything they want to you because you're not going anywhere. And if you don't go anywhere for a while, more and more people know you're not going to go anywhere, and they take you for granted. Now, yes, you can miss out on an opportunity by walking away too soon, but in my opinion, it's better to walk away and maybe miss that one opportunity than to be stuck in a bad situation and miss years of opportunities, because you're stuck in a bad situation feeling miserable, like I was with the smear on my glasses just there. I think I made it worse. Well, I'll get through this video. Now, the important thing about walking away is have a plan. Do it cordially. Don't drop a big turd in the swimming pool and expect that to be okay. But don't do anything that can be used against you going forward. But when your gut tells you to get out, get out. Cover your ass on the way out. So if there are any, you know, specific reasons, document them before you leave. You know, if there are any legalities you have to consider, research first, act second. But by all means, if you are in a situation that is making you sick from stress, that's not your fault. That's the situation's fault. No situation should be making you sick from stress, says the woman who's frequently sick from stress because of work stuff. And the reason I'm talking about this is because we've been talking about, abusive online environments, people who are abusing the system, bullies, all that stuff. I really do think that in gaming, part of the reason it is so bad that way is there is this assumption that people don't have anywhere to go. And the thing that makes me very interested is that more and more, as the market gets bigger and bigger and matures, because, we're still in a growth industry, there are other places that people can go. You are not stuck in a single gaming ecosystem. And that's very important because the best way to create a healthy environment is to have places where, okay, this clique isn't working out, I'll go find another group of people, right? Which is, it's multiplayer gaming is a metaphor, right? Remember how crappy the early days of Xbox matchmaking were? And now more and more you can pick what friends you play with. Like you have your Destiny group or your Call of Duty group or something like that. And it's a much better experience because everybody knows each other. Life is like that. Would you keep going back to a game that made you miserable? Well, some people would. That's an indication of a problematic gaming habit. But, most people like, this isn't fun. I'm going to go play something else. Fallout 76. That's how you want to look at life. I have found it's so useful to study the way I play games and the choices I make in games and apply it more and more and more to real life. Because I'm not crippled by fear of consequence in games like I was trained to be in real life. And I actually find I make better decisions when I'm not, not thinking about every possible thing that could go wrong. When you're thinking about every possible thing that could go wrong, you're playing to not lose. You're playing to win. And I use this metaphor all the time. If all you're doing is blocking the whole time, your health just chips away to nothing. You got to go on offense at some point. And sometimes the best way to go on offense is to walk away. Because when you're not in a particular environment, those people can't hurt you anymore. Thing is, a lot of truly abusive environments make you believe that you will never be rid of those people. They will make you believe that no matter where you go, they will find you and make you miserable. And so you feel trapped and you feel helpless. And that becomes your go-to. That becomes your default state, that sense of learned helplessness. And it does take sort of small baby steps in some cases to get comfortable with the idea that a change is needed. Now, the nice thing is the more you do it, the easier it gets within reason. One of the reasons I was so averse to change in like my teen years, not change, but I didn't want to walk away from anything, is because when I was really young, like grade school, I never stayed in one school for more than 2 years. So I was always the new kid. Where I went to kindergarten, the school closed. So I went to a different school for grade 1, and then they accelerated me into gifted for grade 3. I didn't miss a number. I skipped grade 2. And then grades 3 and 4, I was in gifted. And then there became this huge fight over moving the gifted school, consolidating the program, and having no busing. So they wanted me at the age of 11 to take the bus on my own in a not safe neighborhood. Public transit, not school bus, public transit to school every day. That was their big plan. Now, it was because I was a year younger than everybody else and it was a bigger problem for me. But okay, out of that program, didn't want to do it anymore. In Back into regular school. Okay, grades 5 and 6. Now on to junior high school. They cut grade 9 from junior high school, so 7, 8. Then I was in high school. And I had high school, it's like, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay at this school for the entire time. I want that experience. And so it became very hard for me to walk away from things, even when they were bad, because it was that constant. On the one hand, I got good at adapting to new situations, but on the other, I just got exhausted from being the perpetual newcomer. I had to relearn that skill on my own terms as an adult. Relearning something and overcoming trauma in doing it is much harder than trying it for the first time, but it can still be done. And it's amazing how good it is for you when you learn how to do it, when you learn how to be decisive and live with fewer regrets. This young woman that, did it this week, she was like, I immediately felt better. The minute I did it, I immediately felt better. And that's no better indicator that you made the right call. There are always consequences, or other things you have to make up. Things can be chaotic for a while, but anything's better than being that miserable and stressed out to the point that it's making you sick. Anything. Your health is an indicator that something is right or something is wrong. It could be difficult for a while, especially financially, especially if you're, a millennial or what do they call Zoomers, Gen Z? I don't know. The name keeps changing. But if you're a younger person who still has student debt, it's hard to change jobs. Social circles. We make changing social circles nowadays harder than it really is because of social media. That is a not difficult thing to do as long as your social circle isn't too tied up in work. You can just kind of slowly back away from something. There doesn't have to be a big blow up, but start associating with a different group of people. I really think we need to do that in nerd spaces. We need to do that in gaming spaces because the tactics that continue are based on, I've been thinking about it a lot this week, are based on the fact the gaming community is treated like a captive audience. They've determined that they'll just beat on someone and beat on someone and beat on someone until they break, because where are they going to go? That's not healthy. That's not healthy for any industry. There's always got to be somewhere else for people to go. And I have to admit, far-right media has this down to an art. I mean, look at what happened with Gina Carano. I am not saying I agree with what Gina Carano did. I am not saying I agree with the ethics of far-right media. But it is effective. Disney fires Gina Carano. What's its face company that Shapiro's with? I forget what it's called. The Daily Caller, Daily Wire, Daily Wire. They hire. Great. They've created an off-ramp, right? There's no similar alternative revenue stream for anybody else that's like that rewards people for sticking to their principles, right or wrong, in the face of a cancel mob. The nice thing is, one can be created. It doesn't actually require that much money. Just something of a startup that breaks the back of these people who, let's face it, they don't really have very good arguments. They just have a captive audience that currently they have a little too much control over. Now, there's another area that their control is waning. And that is direct-to-consumer marketing. The fact that companies recognize now that, hey, they don't have to take an expensive booth at E3. We can just do Nintendo Directs, right? We don't have to cater to the press. We can do direct-to-consumer marketing, and hey, guess what? If you're dicks to us, we're just not going to release our game for review copies. We're not required to. Now, I'm not big on the ethics of that because I think that's anti-consumer. I do understand a PR wing of a company not wanting to set a product up for sabotage by giving it to media who will never give the game a chance, right? There's a golden mean between the two extremes there. So that's one of the things that we can do right now is if you see something that outrages you, if it really makes you angry, not you want to have a bit of fun at it, you want to take a somewhat immature crack at somebody, there's, consequences to everything. Don't get me wrong, but that's not like feeling put upon with that. But if you see something that makes you angry and you feel the angry typing urge go on, try just walking away from it. Try just, if you feel the need to warn other people of something dangerous, that's a different thing. But if it's just not your thing, you don't like it, you find it unpleasant, for me it's The Sims, you just walk away. My absolute best friend in the world used to play The Sims all the time. She plays Destiny now. But I warned her when when Lady Bits was coming out that there was the run on I hate The Sims joke. And she kind of laughed and she says, thanks for telling me. You really don't like it that much? I'm like, no. And I told her the private reason why. That isn't for public consumption. But yeah, like it's actually like she loves The Sims. That's fine. I don't have to like The Sims. And we're still friends, right? I didn't spend all my time convincing her that The Sims were bad. She moved on to Destiny. Thank you, Kate6. She actually ended up realizing, wow, all these expansion packs are really expensive. But yeah, that's one form of walking away. Just like, not worth the fight. I guess another way to encapsulate walking away is learning to pick your battles. You can't fight every battle. You will be exhausted. Now, the last thing I want to touch on that is you can't fight every battle. And there are some battles you can't fight. I actually had a situation on a contract where I was brought in basically to be a sensitivity reader, a sensitivity producer on a project. Hey, you're a feminist in gaming. Make sure we don't do something terribly sexist. Well, there was stuff that I was okay with sexism-wise, but there was stuff I thought was pretty racist. And it was making me lose sleep. And I didn't want my name on something where I would be associated with something I couldn't defend. Because the unfortunate thing about games is that, because of NDAs, you can't go, I didn't agree with this. You have to kind of go and eat the shit, right? Fortunately, that relationship ended for other reasons. If it hadn't, that was something where I was going to have to walk. Because the more I thought about it, the more it bothered me. And I realized that it wasn't bothering me because I was going to get yelled at. I'm used to that. I'm used to people swearing at me. I actually thought it was wrong. It had to do with the depiction of Asian people before what happened, in Georgia. I knew it was something that if friends of mine encountered, they would be bothered by it. It did not sit right with me. Now, that doesn't mean I need everybody to agree with me that something is problematic or racist or whatever. But for me, it wasn't something I could be proud of. And to me, when something's on a line like that, everybody has their "you shall not pass" moment, right? For me, I could live with gameplay that wasn't the greatest thing in the world. Fine, limited budget, right? Could deal with janky writing in places. We all laugh at corny Final Fantasy lines. But something I thought would actually hurt people I had regard for, I couldn't just look the other way on that, and I didn't want, because it was my direct responsibility, right? It wasn't a not my circus, not my monkeys situation. I couldn't stick around. And those are hard because people are like, you're burning a bridge. And I've talked about this before. Okay, yes, but the bridge is rotten and full of holes and no one can walk on it. So why does it matter if I'm burning a bridge? At least if you burn a bridge, it's all rotten. You get the cool, like, walk away in slow-mo while it's all, like, blowing up and burning. You know, the end of the action movie kind of thing. You throw, like, something over your shoulder and boom, in slow-mo. Right? You're walking away in slow-mo. Cool, guys, I need a pair of sunglasses, right? And we, like, puff out our chest so we can look all cool like Dave Bautista, right? At least you got that. As opposed to, if you stay, you're, evil villain's henchman number 4. Who would you rather be in that movie? And I know I'm joking around, but these are the techniques that I do, that I build up. These are the metaphors I use to make myself feel more okay with tough decisions where I know it's the right choice. And I'm gonna be the Wicked the Witch of the West again for making it. And I think that's what keeps so many people stuck in bad situations, is they don't want to be painted as the bad guy. It takes practice, and you get better at getting used to being the person that they cut up and lie about behind your back, because you've seen the leaked chat logs. True story. But it gets easier and it gets easier. And the more you build up that positive group who, is there to tell you, like, fuck them. It gets easier, right? Because that bad group is not your whole world anymore. You can walk to things instead of away from things. And the thing I learned far too late, and this young lady that I'm very proud of learned much earlier, there's always another opportunity if you're looking for it. If you're so beat up and burned out because you're stuck in a crappy situation, you're not going to be able to see those new opportunities because your eyes are freaking glazed over. Right? Right. Okay, hope this helps some people, because there's going to be a lot of changes coming with COVID and all that stuff, the summer, all that, everything getting back to normal. Not that's possible. So I hope that this helps. If it did, if you want to help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K. Wellness Wednesday.